Hello, my name is Bob Bowman. I was injured at the end of 1998 in a snowboarding accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down. Over the course of my recovery, I've noticed a lot about how people heal. This series is an attempt to illustrate some of the things that I've learned and am learning through others and their stories. We'll introduce you to people who have overcome catastrophic events and learned something in the passage. We're using poetry and artwork as metaphor to help clarify some of the hard to talk about things, like the nature of grace and God and living. I hope you'll find some comfort and some ways to apply these hard to talk about things in your own lives, whatever your circumstances are. Our first story is my friend Minna Hong. I hope you're as inspired by her courage, humor, and determination as I've been.
I think everybody's low point is all different. Okay, this is what I used to do before I got injured, okay? Wake the kids up in the morning, hurry up and make their breakfast and make their lunch and, have a good day, have a good day. And I couldn't wait until they left because then I couldn't mourn. I would just lay in bed and just lay there and say, what am I doing? It was just like a big fog, like, this isn't quite happening to me yet. It's not ending. It's not as harsh as a nightmare, but it's one of those prolonging death that just keeps getting longer and longer. It's like a sore. Yeah. And people are throwing salt in my wound and it's just expanding and I'm like, ah! I wish the clock would stop when I'm not doing well. I wish it would just stop for me, but it doesn't. You haven't seen this side yet. It's funny, just when you think you've gotten used to the wheelchair, you're rolling along, doing your own thing, and all of a sudden there's a stone, you're topsy-turvy, and then you fall off.
No, I don't ever.
You know the expression, stuff happens? It seems to happen a lot to people in wheelchairs.
Look at those young things getting out.
I dropped my wheels way over there, and I have a need to want to pick it up. And you know what? I'm gonna do it, but oh shit! All right, Minna, be strong. I've never done this before, by the way.
I am so impressed.
So am I.
Sometimes I still can't believe the stuff a paraplegic has to go through on a typical day.
Sometimes I wish we could be in a chair like people go to work, 9 to 5, and get off of it after that. Do you know what I'm saying? Have the weekends off and vacation too, thank you very much. I'd be cool with that. I can do this thing 9 to 5. I really can't. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. And sometimes I'll cheat, because I get tired of pushing it this way. When I see nobody, I'll go like that, and I'll try to catch the car. In the beginning, it was kind of hard. People staring, grocery shopping, people staring at you, and then staring at you some more.
Oh, it's still warm.
Or I'll have people that look at me kind of funny, like, oh, is she all right? Is she all right up here? Or just a stranger would smile in a friendly way, but it's like, oh, you poor thing. I'm so glad it's not me. In the beginning, I was, I kind of had my head down because I didn't want to see the eyes. Do you know what I mean? But now I do things a lot differently because I feel differently about me.
It does take a while to decide that different is okay and nothing is normal.
No, because I can't stand up to close the trunk. It's so close and yet so far. I am a little vocal, yeah, because I want to get things done and nobody's no one has my back, and I'm okay with it. I got my back, and I'm secure in that. So I just roll about my business, and whatever you think of me, good, but don't, you know what I mean? I don't want people patronizing me. You don't have to give me extra service. Just, treat me like you treat others, and I'm cool with it,
Can I close this for you?
Yes, please.
Big old tall thing. Minna lost her husband and the use of her legs in a highway accident, but her wits, her humor, and her spirit are still intact.
I had my surgery, and next thing you know, people are just all over me. I mean, just people are all over me, and you can see the fear in their eyes. Next thing you know, they're talking about funeral, and I'm going, oh my God, this is for real. How do you not go to your own husband's funeral, So I had to go in a gurney with 2 ICU nurses. And all through the ride, I just kept my eyes closed, and then the nurse asked me, do you want something? Do you want something? I said, no, I don't want anything. I want to feel whatever I got to feel. I don't want to mask it. So there was a viewing room, and there's this man. He looked like some Chinese man or something, because I think it was a head injury, too much makeup. And the only thing that looked remotely like Tony was his hands. So I touched his hands, and it freaked me out. It was as cold as ice, and I thought, that's not him. It was a good disconnect too, because I knew that really wasn't Tony, because his spirit was not there, and that's not who I know.
Right.
So as bittersweet as that was, I knew that he was gone already, that he's in a much, much better place, and that's just a shell that we live in. It's, we live in shells. We just use it and throw it away and move on, And I remember leaving, and I said, Tony, God, whatever you do, you got to give me a sign. Give me a sign. Hit me with something. So as I went to my hospital bed, it was my first liquid lunch, because I was always on an IV. And then I drank from that cup, this ugly gray looking kind of cup with the paper lid. And then I open it and I drink it, and what's in it is the answer that I was seeking for, which was iced tea. And I said, oh, Tony, you came to quench my thirst, because this Korean man loves sweet tea. Damn, wouldn't you know it? He has to have sweet tea with everything. He loves sweet tea. So in a way, I guess I was trying to find answer or comfort in anything that somehow made sense. And that day, that sweet tea made sense to me, in that moment.
Sometimes moments are all we get, and for Minna that was enough. She used her moments to create a life that was fuller than she ever expected. I first met Minna at the Shepherd Center. I had the same hope every patient has.
And I thought, oh my God, if I go there, if I do enough rehab, I'm going to be able to walk. That was the thing, I'm going to walk. If I try hard enough, I'm going to walk. And I remember that medical conference, the doctors coming in and just point blank telling you, your chances of walking is 2%. And everything that I worked for just like crumbled right there. It was such a blow, such a blow. It was a death of a kind, and during that 1 year when I had my depression, I had to mourn for my personal loss too. Who's going to love this crippled? Who's going to kiss me and say everything is going to be okay? My mom and dad have each other. My sister has, their husbands, and my brother has his girlfriend. Everybody has somebody. Late at night, I'm the only one consoling me. That was so
devastating. You know, who's going to love me? Healing is partly in the living, and that's how one heals, I think. That's how I heal. I was really afraid to come home. I really, really was, knowing that I have to take care of me. And I knew my parents could help, you know, but I didn't want their help. That was my stubbornness, you know, and I didn't want to be a burden. I did not. It's the last thing I want to be. It's a burden to anybody. And then there's people once I figured out how to maneuver myself in the kitchen where I felt somewhat in control, I thought life is going to be okay.
Right.
I really did. And I think that epiphany came to me when I learned to flip food just the way I used to before. And I said, oh, okay, it is different.
In a nutshell, can you define what new normal is?
I used to think, oh, this is what people think normal is, and we have to all get into that zone, you know? You have to have 2 cars and 2 kids and so many bedrooms. Now that normalcy isn't a tunnel vision at all. It's a peripheral vision, and my peripheral vision is, I think it's 360 really. Not only for me, for anybody. You know, shoot, go do it. If you're not gonna hurt anyone, go do it, you know? And of course, not injure yourself as well, and I don't think you have to have some catastrophic injury to have this thing. I think that too is relative, you know, so. Lose some, gain some. I lost some, gained a lot, you know? It's kind of simple that way, so there you go. Wisdom doesn't come from sitting in a chair automatically, I'll tell you. You gotta work that thing. So
there's a soundbite. That's a nice reminder to me, and I appreciate it. So it does take work, and I think, as you said, that living piece of it is almost, you know, a euphemism for healing for me. You know, I mean, I don't expect my back to get better.
exactly.
My life is a whole lot more full.
I still hate it, you know, and I think, you know, things falling on my lap, I don't even worry about that. It's just unable to reach things sometimes, or lift heavy objects because I'm thinking I'm gonna topple over, or things like that. You know, having to ask my children to do things for me that maybe their friends' parents won't ask them. Sometimes I think, God, you know, that guiltiness associated with me being a single mom. And no, it's, you know, I was just kidding before, but it's not like I meant to do it.
Right.
But the fact that, you know, me driving at that time, you know, robbed them of their dad. So in that sense, I have a lot of guilt. I was so concentrated on my children, how I need to make their lives as normal as possible, you know, doing their piano lessons, doing their Cub Scouts. It was just very, very important to me that my children are not, quote unquote, disabled because of me. That was very, very important to me. It was just my way of trying to make them feel that it's gonna be okay, that they're gonna be taken care of under these circumstances, that, yeah, you know, Dad's not here, but I'm gonna take care of you and it's gonna be okay. I make that clear often, that 3 is a complete number for us. You don't have to have a mom, dad, to have a complete family. There's nothing broken about us, except my back. And then one day I just thought, you know what? If you're gonna live,
Get your ass up and do something and live, because what you're doing is existing, not living. And I thought, I'm gonna get myself a job. Since I never had a job, I think I'm gonna get me a job. I never thought that was possible as a walking person. Isn't that funny?
It's amazing what you could see when you change your perspective a little bit.
Peer support at Shepherd is people helping one another in a similar situation. And believe it or not, that has helped me more than any therapy has. Being able to cry, cry, just, because sometimes you may not be able to express some of the emotions that you go through to people that are, even your dear friends that are walking for whatever reason, or to your spouse or whatever, but knowing that you're coming into a situation where you're not gonna be judged, period.
I'd be lying if I were to say something like, oh, your life is going to be just the way it was. That's not true. There is going to be a lot of differences, and how we adapt to the changes is, really up to us.
That's the most important thing you said there, to reinvent yourself at all times.
It's down being in this chair at all times. You get a down feeling, but if you stay down, you're going to be down all the time.
And I had to constantly remind myself, what do I have going for me? But what do I have going for me that far exceeds all of this shit, that really counts for something in life? I'm doing certain things that I never thought I'd be able to do, even while I was walking. I'm finding out who I am. How fun is that? As with any relationships, you know how you say you have to build a relationship. You can't expect a relationship to just all of a sudden, boom, work for you. You have to build it. You have to build that relationship with yourself too, and honor whatever is that you're going through.
It's Minna's nature to help people. It's also her job. So where does she go to find her strength?
I think I was having a really bad day. And I go to the parking lot, and what do I see is, I see a little sticky note. It's a handwritten, it was written by a quad who had no fine motor. And he wrote, "To thyself be true." And when I saw that note and I say, how dare I complain when this man, with what he has, can do what he does? And that note is something that I carried with me for a very, very long time. And I think that just kind of brings me back. It always brings me back. And knowing that tomorrow's gonna happen, there's so many things so much greater than me.
Right.
So that always brings me back to reality. It's a good reality check for me.
Right.
The kids are growing, whether you're doing well or not, Days gotta come and go whether you do well or not. So what are you gonna do? If you're not true to yourself, who are you true to? What are you teaching your children? Because that is my thing, being a good parent to my kids.
How do you feel about me being in a wheelchair, for instance? Does that kind of freak you guys out, or?
No, well, at first, we've known you so long. It was kind of weird, but now it's just cold. Like normal.
And I think my kids are having an interesting ride too. I think they won't see the world as black and white. I think that's a very, very important thing to teach our children, that people can exist in different ways. And just because you do something your way doesn't necessarily mean it's the way I have to. And I think this forced me to find out who I was. Yeah. Completely forced me. And I've just begun. I've just begun, so I don't know what my capabilities are. And I'm not afraid anymore. And since I'm gonna be living for a while, I wanna max out on it, because I've been given a second life in a wheelchair, and I'm gonna max out on it, I think.
Come on, Mark! Come on, Mark!
And truth of the matter is, we're all born and we're all gonna die. Those two are a fact. What we do in between that time is what we have certain amount of control over, because we have that freedom of will. So why not choose it wisely, you know? I want to wear it proudly, not only for me, but for everyone who feels what I feel. So please do not judge a book by its cover. You know, read into me. Read into me, because I will give you something back. I will give you nourishment. Today, I am a complete woman. Today I am. Tomorrow, I don't know. But today, I feel vibrant. I feel strong. I feel very independent. And I feel complete. I'm not broken today.
I love Minna. I love her spirit, courage, determination. And people like Minna are all around us. We need their stories to remind us there's comedy in tragedy and gracious gifts in things that look a lot like curses. So in a world where bad news is so easy to find, I hope you'll invest in good news. Life rolls on.